What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. We have this interesting question that we're going to be solving. And the question says, find the value of x for which 2 to the x plus 4 to the x is equal to 8 to the x. Well, our first step will be for us to reduce 4 and 8 to their lowest base, which is a base of 2. So we have 2 to the x plus 4 is the same as 2 squared. And this is raised to the x. So I'm going to be raising this to the x equal to 8 is the same as 2 to the 3. And it is raised to the x. So I'm going to be raising this to the x. Very good. Now, our next step will be for us to apply the law of indices, which says when I have a to the m, and if this is raised to the n, this is same as a to the n and raised to the m. This happens by switching the positions of m and n. So we can apply this to what we have here and here. So this becomes 2 to the x plus this becomes 2 to the x now raised to the power of 2. You can see that I switched the positions. We're going to be doing the same thing here, equal to, this becomes 2 to the x, now raised to the power of 3. Very good. Now notice I have 2 to the x here, I have 2 to the x here, and I also have 2 to the x here. So 2 to the x is common. That means I'm going to be introducing substitution. So I can say let 2 to the x be equal to u. So that means wherever I see 2 to the x, I'm going to be putting u there. Very good. Now I have 2 to the x, so I'll be putting u plus, I have 2 to the x, I'll put u, and this is raised to the power of 2, so I'll raise this to the power of 2, equal to, this is 2 to the x, so I'm going to be putting u, and this is raised to the power of 3, so I'm going to be putting the power of 3 here. Very good. Now our next step will be for us to move every other thing on the left to the right hand side. Now on the right hand side, I've got u cubed. As u squared crosses to the right, it becomes minus u squared. And as u crosses to the right, it becomes minus u. Now, what remains on the left is 0. Well, this is same as u cubed minus u squared minus u equal to 0, flipping the positions. So it is actually the same thing. Now notice that u is actually common on the left hand side. So we're going to be factoring out u. So factor out u, open bracket. Now u cubed divided by u, I have u squared minus u squared divided by u, I have u minus u divided by u, I'm going to be having 1. And this is equal to 0. Now we have two cases. We have case 1. Let me write case 1 here. We have u to be equal to 0, or we have case 2. This expression, which is u squared minus u minus 1 is equal to 0. So these are the two cases we've got. Now, for the first case, we can just substitute u here. So let's just say from first case, from case 1, remember we have 2 to the x to be equal to u. So that means wherever I see u, I'm going to be putting 0 there for case 1. So 2 to the x is equal to, the value of u for case 1 is 0. But notice, we cannot raise 2 to any power to give 0. So there is no power that 2 can be raised to give 0. So we're going to be rejecting this case. So this is rejected. Now let's focus on case 2. So for case 2, we have u squared minus u minus 1 to be equal to 0. Actually, this is a quadratic equation, and we're going to be using the quadratic formula to solve this. The reason is because this quadratic equation cannot be factorized. So since I'm using the quadratic equation, Ra is the coefficient of u squared, and that's 1. Rb is the coefficient of u, and that's -1, so -1. And our c is the constant term, which is -1. So the quadratic formula that we're going to be using is u, since we're looking for u, is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now let's substitute into this quadratic equation. So the value of u is equal to minus b. What is b? B is -1, so I'm going to be putting -1 there, plus or minus the square root of b squared. B is -1, so I'll put -1 squared minus 4 times a. What is a? A is 1 times c. And what is c? C is -1, so -1 all over 2a. That's 2a. A is 1. And this simplifies into u equal to negative times negative is positive. So I'm going to be having +1 here, plus or minus the square root of. Now, -1 squared is 1. And -4 times 1 times -1 gives +4 all over 2 times 1 is 2. And simplifying further, we're going to be having u to be equal to 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 plus 4 is 5 all over 2. Very good. Now we have two values of u here. We have u to be equal to 1, going for the positive, plus the square root of 5 all over 2, or u is equal to 1, now going for the negative, minus the square root of 5 all over 2. But let's recall, remember we are looking for the value of x. So recall that we said 2 to the x is equal to u. So I'm going to be putting these values of u here. So, but before I do that, I'm going to be solving this separately so I can be able to put the value of u later. So let's solve this. Since we have a variable as the exponent, we can decide to take the log of both sides. So I'll take the log of the left-hand side, which is 2 to the x, equal to, I'll take the log of the right-hand side, which is log u. Now, our next step will be for us to apply the law of logarithm, which says when I have log a to the n, this is same as n log a. So let's apply this law here. Now, this expression now becomes x log 2 equal to log u. And since we're looking for x, we're going to be dividing both sides. So divide both sides by log 2. So DBS actually means divide both sides. So we have x log 2. I'm going to be dividing this left hand side by log 2. This is equal to, now the right hand side I have log u. I'll divide the right hand side also by log 2. Now notice that log 2 can cancel out so that we have x to be equal to log u all over log 2. Well, this looks complex. We can actually make it simple by applying the property of change of base for a log. So that property is when I have log m divided by log n, this is same as log m base n. So we can actually apply this property of change of base to what we have here. So making the value of x to be equal to log u base 2. But remember the values of u we got. We got one of the values of u to be 1 plus the square root of 5 all over 2. And we also got the other one to be 1 minus the square root of 5 all over 2. So let's plug in this into this place. So we have x to be equal to log base 2 of, this first one is 1 plus the square root of 5 all over 2, or the value of x is equal to log base 2 of, now plug in the second one, we have 1 minus the square root of 5 all over 2. So these are the possible values for x. Well, feel free to share your ideas in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video and have learned something from this video, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss my upcoming videos. And like I always say, until next time, take care.